Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's We Roguelike It. I'm host Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpeer.
Hello.
Alongside this week, this is the beginning of Darkest Dungeon, we decided to jump into the science game, and we're going to rate and rank all of these games that we have played so far in We Roguelike It.
Does that make us RHDs?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's very good. Thank you. I will be releasing that alongside this week's episode, so we'll sort of catch up where all the rankings are for the previous 4 games, and then going forward, when we release the final episode for each game, we'll also release a ranking episode. Mm-hmm. So you'll get a couple of weeks of game, and then a week of science. So you'll get even more content from We Roguelike It, because we can't stop recording shows, and we can't stop making things harder for ourselves.
Yep.
But speaking of making things hard for ourselves, let's talk about our newest game,
Yep.
Darkest Dungeon.
Oh boy.
How much time did you put into this game this week?
About 2 to 3 hours, and I know that you probably put about 50 in based on your tweets this week.
I put in 20.
Holy Lord.
I like Darkest Dungeon a lot, and it's benefited that I have it on Switch.
Uh-huh.
So I'm playing it in bed, and I'm just sit on the couch and play it for an hour or two. I play it basically wherever I can get it.
Wow.
A lot of Darkest Dungeon.
See, I'm a little hamstrung in this because I already own Darkest Dungeon when we drew this out of the hat. I own it on the PC. Yeah. And I don't like playing games on my PC, and there's nothing against PC gaming. It's the fact that I sit in front of a desk for 10 to 12 hours a day and don't like coming home to do the same.
Well, and you're separated in the house, in the office, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like my wife is downstairs, or the office is upstairs in a little room by itself, the studio. Yep.
Right.
A little room. It's actually a big room. But it's. I sat down. I played a little bit of it today. I was gonna stream, and then my face was hurting, and then I was just like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna take a break from streaming this week. So I ended up just playing a little bit of Darkest Dungeon, and oh boy. Let's start with the fact that it's so. I mean, okay. How do we describe this thing? So, a side-scrolling 2D SRPG.
Yeah, I guess it could be an SRPG. I guess it's more like a turn-based.
Yes, a turn-based SRPG, because you can't say it's not an SRPG, because I actually was thinking about this last night. I was thinking, if he questions the SRPG on this, I'm going to bring up the fact that there is different points on the field that you stand to do different attacks.
Yeah, that was going to be my rebuttal to myself. Is it has field positioning, so that's it moves from straddling the line between a traditional sort of turn-based RPG to a strategy RPG, and I would agree.
So it seems like it's based on the D&D engine. Because, I mean, I know it's not an official D&D thing, but it's got, ACCs and, a whole bunch of stats that I don't know. I don't know what ACC means.
That's your accuracy.
Okay.
One thing I really like about the Switch version that I wish I had... I own the PC version. I have not yet played it. I should dive in there so I know what you're seeing. Is that there's a context-sensitive help button. So basically, if you're looking at your character's stats, hit the minus button, and the glossary slides in from the left and says, ACC is accuracy, dodge is, your dodge chance, and that sort of stuff.
On the PC, it's H. Hold H. Because I did start to use this with the controller, and then, of course, it's mapped to the PlayStation controller buttons. And it has
weird. Okay.
0 options to change that for me. So unless I want to go down the GOG mod hole, okay. So I ended up playing mouse and keyboard instead, and it was one of those things where I'd press H and it would just fill the screen with a wall of text, and I was just like, okay.
Oh boy. I'm actually, part of what I like about the Switch version is I use it half touchscreen and half D-pad and buttons. Well, actually, you have to use the D-pad and the analog stick. And part of what I like is I can actually just tap on a character and drag them into the bar or the sanctuary or wherever I want to go.
Yeah.
Finding out more info about them, you just double tap them, and their whole character sheet pulls up.
Yeah.
But then moving through the dungeon, I can just use the D-pad or the left analog stick to move, the right analog stick to pick where I'm going. Once you hit a room, to pick your direction that you're going to go next.
That's not too bad, actually.
Yeah.
Mouse and keyboard it's mouse and keyboard, so you already know what you're in for in that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I will say so far that it's a very intriguing game. It's very interesting. Yeah. I think it's been stated since the first time I saw this game, which was probably Alex on Giabomb singing this game's praises. Art style is incredible.
It's so good.
It's like a super dark, gothic kind of medieval art style, and it's
like Eldritch art style.
Yeah, it's a truly amazing art style. The controls are simple enough. Dude, learn from my mistakes. Don't walk backwards, folks. Don't ever walk backwards.
I made that mistake on a run where my sanity on all 4 characters was fairly high, and these were characters I wanted to keep. I should have just escaped from the dungeon, and I didn't because I got greedy. And I started walking backwards, and boy, that went wrong immediately.
Yep. I missed a curio in one of the corridors, so I was like, I'm just going to walk backwards and get this curio.
Insanity.
Bad idea. I've done a couple of runs so far, and like not a whole lot. I've done a couple, and my roster is now at 10 out of 12.
Okay.
I already have a favorite character, which is the leper.
The leper is really good.
A frontline only kind of character, but oh boy, when he hits hard.
Yeah, I actually put the leper in the second slot. Unless I have a man-at-arms, and then I put them in the second slot.
Well, I don't think I've run across a man-at-arms yet. I think so far my roster's like 3 Crusaders, 1 Highwayman, like one of the Crusaders and a Highwayman is the 2 people you start with. A Grave Robber, not a Cleric, but kind of that kind of class. Like she's a...
Yeah, I would have her wrote down. Vestal?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think I've got... I've got 2 Plague Doctors.
Oh, yeah. Plague Doctor I need to use more. They're good. I just... So I spend the majority of my time, probably the first 10 hours, getting as far as I could in a dungeon, getting the people that in my party as crazy as possible, getting back to town, and kicking them out of town.
Kicking them out of town?
Yep, like, you're crazy, get out. Because as soon as you go back to town, you always have 4, or once you upgrade the carriage to 6 people, you have 6 people you can pick from, scoop all of them up, and just rinse and repeat until you have enough money and, like, enough... God, what do they call the busts and the picture frames?
Yeah, like the heirlooms? Or whatever they're called.
Until you have enough heirlooms to like start ranking up a bunch of your buildings. And then at that point I found out, okay, well I can have like, now I have 16 people in my party. Or like whatever the thing on the right hand side is.
Like the roster.
Roster. That's the word I'm looking for. A normal word that my brain forgot. So you can sort of have like an A, B, and C team.
Yep.
So like my A team went in and fought a boss and had a really tough time, and their sanity is really high, and they got like maybe a red benefit, one of those negative traits.
I've got so many of those.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, they got a negative trait, so I'm going to send them off to the sanitarium. They're going to lose a little bit of they're going to lose their negative trait. They're going to lose a little bit of we're going to cover their sanity. That's a better way to say it. And then after a couple of days, they'll be back and ready to fight. And then like my B team can go in and finish like a medium length mission to go explore 90% of the rooms.
Yeah.
It'll give me some money, give me more heirlooms and that sort of stuff. That so far has been my once I upgraded the blacksmith and the guild hall and all that stuff a little bit, then I could start saying, all right, I have people that are coming into my camp that couldn't be level 1 or level 2.
Yeah.
Just to begin with. Now I can start building those people up. And that was hard for me to do at the beginning. I was like, oh, you got me through the dungeon, and like you were so good, but you got to get out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in the process of being introduced to everything. Like, there's one thing this game likes, it's systems. Oh, yes. Boy, does it like its systems. Like, even something like the... What's it called? The blacksmith? Or no, not the blacksmith, the guild, where you can unlock the secondary and tertiary skills for everybody, but you can only equip 4 going in at any particular time. It's like, okay, sure.
Yep.
Smile and nod.
I'll get there eventually.
It took me the longest time to realize while in a dungeon, if I just use food, I can heal my people between battles.
Yep.
It took me ages to figure that out. Then I figured it out. I was like, okay, so I'm not wasting as much food now because I'm going in with 20 and I'm coming out with like 18. And it's like, well, that was useless.
Yeah, I was using that for a while until I realized it wasn't really, at least later on, the juice isn't worth the squeeze for food. So I'm actually bringing in very little food, like 8 pieces. Mm-hmm. And once you have a really good healer, you can start using that as opposed to the food, which I kept making the mistake of like, I fought a battle, I'll eat a bunch of food. And then when the eat food or starve event comes up, mm-hmm. and you have to pick starve, I found that was the tipping point for my sanity, where it's like they just gained 30, they lost 30 sanity, so
yeah.
Now they're going to do that dice roll of, are you going to be good or are you going to be really bad now?
Yeah. So far, I mean, I'm enjoying the game. Like I said, I've done very minimal runs on it. Do you have any skills/traits which stand out to you? Because I have one, which I can't help but love every time it happens.
Which one is that?
Kleptomaniac.
Oh, yeah.
So my highwayman has that, and
oh boy.
Literally it's not too bad because he's relatively good at disarming traps. I don't know how to figure out who's good at doing that or not. I'm guessing it's like speed.
You know, I still don't know that either. Every time I interact with a trap, if I see them on the ground, because I am trap blind half the time, mm-hmm. A lot of times it seems like it just picks a random person out of my party and said, all right, they got rid of the trap.
It's whoever you click on. It's whoever you have highlighted.
Right, gotcha.
It's the same way to like open chests and stuff like that. Like my leper is like super duper like really high HP, so I always have mm-hmm. them open chests in case they're trapped, and then if they take damage, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah, or if they have bleed on them, like that won't make a difference.
Exactly. Whereas, like, I'll always have my highwayman or my grave robber are the two people who, depending on who I've got, I will have them click on them, then click on the trap, and then it's those who go to actually try and disarm it.
Gotcha. That would make more sense. Yeah.
So far he's got like a 3-in-1 success to failure ratio right now. So mm-hmm. I'll take that at any day, especially in this kind of thing. It took me ages to figure out the curios and figure out how to equip them.
The trinkets?
Yes, stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't use a lot of trinkets because I feel like the majority of the ones that I have been getting, except for the very, very rare ones, mm-hmm. are like 5% increased accuracy, -2 speed. And it's like, boy, enemies most of the time are going before I do anyway, so that's... Getting a hit to speed is really hurting me.
Yeah, I've got one guy who's got 2 on. One is a cursed, a bloodthirsty ring, so they don't ever eat.
Okay.
But they don't ever eat, but they do like more damage and only receive like they -25% for any healing spells put on them.
Okay, that's not terrible.
But because of the damage buff that they get from that, I found another one which was an increased speed but reduction of protection. But because the ring gives them more HP, I balanced it, kind of balanced them out a little bit with that. So he hits like a tank, but tends to get hit more often than not. Like, he doesn't dodge at all. He'll just stand there and take it.
To answer your question, there was one. I wish I brought my Switch because the leader of my main party has it on her. It's a positive trait that says there's a chance to turn any miss into a hit, and that means that this person very, very rarely misses, which is really, really good.
That's pretty cool. Have you had the Klepto one happen ever?
I have, and as soon as I realize what it is, they get out of my town. Because there are a bunch of times where I actually don't want to go open the thing I've run into in a hallway, especially on really long runs, because they rank them in like short, medium, and long. Long runs are really long.
Yeah.
So if I have a party that's going through and I'm managing their sanity well enough, I could be halfway through and each party member could only have like 1 pip of sanity, that has built up. So at that point, I'm not opening anything, because unless I know that like I run into a chest, I can feed a key to it, it'll give me extra loot, I'm going to open that one. But if it's like a beast corpse, it's like I cannot afford to have plague right now or blight. I'm just walking right past.
Yeah, I just love the animation thing it does for it, where it's just like nothing can remain unopened, and he just runs up and opens it. It's probably more painful than it will be as it goes on, but it's so funny to me.
Speaking of my party, God, I have so many notes for this game. My favorite team front to back, from like the first position to the last. First one is Hellion. That's that lady with like that staff with the axe on it.
Haven't had one yet.
They're crazy good because they can do a ranged bleed attack, but they also have an attack that is probably my favorite one. I think it's called Iron Eagle. They have to be in the first slot, and the enemy has to be in the last slot, but it does an incredible amount of damage, and it does really well on like those stupid skeletons that splash you with the goblet.
Yeah.
Hate those guys. So they're usually in the last slot. So I usually do that and manage to hit them pretty hard. Man at Arms is in my second slot. That one is really important because they have a skill, and I don't remember what the name is, but basically they'll do a little bit of damage. It'll be like 2 damage. It's nothing to the enemy, but they'll mark themselves and they'll get a counterattack. So for 2 or 3 turns, all the enemies are going to attack them. They have high protection, but they're going to counterattack on a lot of enemies, and that's
pretty good.
It also does it for multiple attacks. So if there's those like those bandits that hit all 4 people at once, your guy is going to hit them back.
That's pretty good.
Vestal for healing.
Yep.
They have boosted single target healing and party healing. My biggest tip for managing sanity is get a Vestal and spam their party healing.
They are my... I'm pretty sure I have a Vestal in my 3rd slot.
Well, their party healing has a really good chance of critting, and every time you crit a heal or like crit an attack on the enemy, you regain some sanity.
Yeah.
So spamming that makes it a lot easier. And then last slot, of course, is Arbalist, the giant crossbow wielding lady.
Don't have one of them yet either.
Yeah, that one's really good, mostly because of ranged damage. They can hit anybody in the back 3 slots.
Yeah.
And anybody in the first slot, they have a attack called Bola that just hits the people in the first 2 slots.
Yeah, I think mine are, my order is Leper, weird Holy Knight person, kind of like a Templar, but not a Templar.
I forget, Crusader, I think?
I think that's it. So I've got Leper 1, Crusader 2, Vessel 3, and my 4 has a Plague Doctor, because the Plague Doctor just buffs and debuffs like crazy. So
it has that poison blight grenade.
Yep, it's something that I've been trying to do more with this, because I'm never good with buffs and debuffs in any form of RPG.
Right.
So I'm trying to embrace it a bit more with this. and I'm using them to just basically throw potions at everybody. It's like, oh, potions at the enemies, potions at my guys. Just keep spamming those potions on everybody.
Have you used the Abomination unit?
No, I have a trinket for them, but I haven't had one yet.
I won't spoil that then. That was a fun discovery of finding out exactly what that unit does and its pluses and minuses.
Are they like an eldritch monster or something?
No, I have run into an eldritch monster. I posted it on Twitter. I made a mistake that there was like this tree branch that came out of the ground that had a red orb in it, and it said, insert a torch in here. And I went, sure, when has that ever gone wrong? It went super wrong. I had to escape from that fight, and it affected my sanity so much I had to escape from the dungeon.
Nice.
Like there was just there's no way after that one that I could recover.
Okay.
What else? I'm surprised there's no turn order display.
Yes. It seems like
there's
the
that
little golden bar next to people's and things.
Yeah, there's like that little golden pip that's like, this person hasn't gone yet. But I'm so used to in a lot of RPGs having this turn order in the corner of...
Thank you, Final Fantasy X, for making that popular.
Yeah. When's the first time I ran into it? The first Grandia, maybe.
Oh, yeah, the Grandia had it
Saturn.
as well.
Yeah. And probably a bunch of stuff, back on the PC. But have you run out of Torchlight or gotten ambushed at camp?
Nope, not yet.
There's a really cool black and white effect where it just washes all the color out of the picture completely. And that's a super cool effect. I'm surprised we haven't talked about the narrator yet.
Really, really cool. Very good voice acting. I wish the subtitles were smaller and didn't cover up the bottom half of my screen.
You can move the subtitles to the top as well.
I might have to do that because...
But they are big.
It's big, and it's got that, like... what's the word? Like the faded... Like it starts thick black at the bottom, and it fades out as it gets towards the top of the subtitles. And that when I'm in the middle of a battle, it comes up and covers like the bottom third of my screen. I'm like, well, I can't see anything right now. Subtitles.
Yeah, I actually had to turn it off because it's too much.
Yeah, it does seem to happen a lot.
Yeah. I have beaten 3 bosses so far out of the 4 I've tried.
Nice. I haven't faced 0 bosses, I think.
It's a really cool system where we have, there's the darkest dungeon up at the top that's like level 6, where it's, I like when you pick it by accident and your whole party's like, please God, no. And then you have, 3 below that?
Yes.
3 or 4?
3 zones,
Yeah, I don't have any of the DLC, so I don't have any of the extra zones, because the game is like $25 by itself, and all the DLC is pretty expensive. I really like how you level up each zone. Like, you go in and you successfully complete one mission, and that levels up the zone a little bit, and then every time you level it up, a boss spawns in there. I fought, Necromancer Apprentice, which was fairly easy. The Wizened Hag was not super easy. I fought the 8-pound grouper, I think was maybe it. It is not the boss I was expecting it to be, so I'm not going to spoil that.
Is it a giant fish?
It is not.
Okay.
That's what I was expecting it to be. But it's something different. And the last one I fought was the Siren, which really sucks because she steals a party member from you.
That sounds like fun.
And she stole my heavy hitter, my Hellion, and just proceeded to start one-shotting my team. So I thought, I'll escape. Let's just get out of here.
Lost the Hellion?
She kept my party member. I was like, great. All right. So I'm down to one person escaping this dungeon, and the other 3 are dead.
Yep.
So that's great. I have not yet been back to fight her because I sort of don't know what my party makeup is going to be to go do that next time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. Like the hood needs some work. Like, there's so much information, but so little information at the same time. It's like when I'm highlighting each individual zone. It's like, okay, what's that button do? What's that button do? What's that button do? All of these buttons are the same, but what do they do? And it's just like, it could do with a better explanation. Like, the break-in period is pretty good, but it's still, there's a lot going on the screen at all times, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I feel like it gets a little bit easier when you spawn your first boss, because you'll have like the normal icons in a zone, and then the boss one will have like gold spikes coming out of it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, these are normal quests. This is a boss quest. I know which ones I want to do. Like, I know I'd rather go do 100% of the room fights in a zone, because that's easier than exploring 90% of the rooms.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But yeah, I feel like it does have not an impossible learning curve, but the learning curve is fairly high, to the point where it did take me a lot of, all right, I'm going to get into the zone and I'm just going to try a bunch of stuff and escape, once I get too crazy, and then sort of learn how, because like we have been doing with all these other games, I don't really want to hit the wiki or hit the subreddit, because it's all going to, it's all going to be like, here's the best party to make, and here's the skills you have to have, and min-max all this stuff. I don't...
Yeah.
I want to make the mistakes. I want to learn by doing, especially in a lot of these games, so I've stayed away from a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, same here. It's like, I'm just going to go in, see where my clicks get me, and then be done with it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see... It runs pretty well on Switch. I am curious to see how it would run on PS4 and Xbox One, primarily from a control standpoint, since you don't have, mouse on PC and touchscreen on Switch. I'm curious. There's so much stuff, like you said, in that UI that navigating it with the controller alone sounds like that would be occasionally fairly stressful.
Well, I'll give it a go, because like I said, the PC version I have does have controller support. Just the UI is designed with PlayStation buttons in mind, so as long as I keep that in mind, I even went into the options like, okay, can I switch these button prompts for the Xbox button prompts?
Right.
It's like literally a palette swap is essentially all you need.
Right.
And no, it doesn't exist. So
yeah, that's odd.
Either I'm gonna have to go in and start messing around with files, which I don't really like to do. There's a reason I play console games. It's because I want to hit the A button and go. I don't want to mess around with INI files and executables and all this other kind of junk. But I might give it a go and see how it works, because, I'm not stupid. I know X equals square, A equals X, circle equals B, and Y equals triangle. Like, I...
You can map it in your own brain for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I do that all the time whenever I play my PlayStation anyway, so...
That's true, yeah.
It's kind of fine. But we'll see. I'll give it a go this week, hopefully, and see how it operates with controller.
Yeah. That's all I've got for We Roguelike It. Quote unquote all. We just recorded half an hour. But, any closing thoughts here before we move on out?
I'm intrigued. I'm curious to see, because I know it's a very difficult game. I'm curious to see how difficult it gets the further you go, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've gotten to some tough stuff, but this game very much feels like one of those games where it's like, yeah, you fought a couple bosses, like that's cool. You've seen 10% of the game's difficulty, and I'm playing on just the base difficulty,
darkest,
Radiant,
no,
whatever the recommended one for you start. Yeah. So I know I'm playing like the easy mode, which is kind of scary.
Yep.
Truth be told. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you all next week.
Bye. Take your torches.
And thanks for watching the video. Bye.